Hi, I'm Frida. I'm a musician from Cincinnati.
Are you from here in Cincinnati? Where were you born?
Yes, born and bred. My grandmother had a house over in Coreyville, which my sister is now, it's still in the family. And I grew up there, between there and the west side of Cincinnati.
You're like a true Cincinnatian, River Basin. True.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I've never lived anywhere else. So, yeah.
What was your neighborhood growing up like?
I would say it was a beautiful neighborhood. Like, you would find, your grandmothers like tending to their gardens and like, just kind of people walking. It was always sort of a peaceful place, and like the neighbors would babysit me as a kid, and they would all go to church together with my grandmother, and like my grandmother knew all the people in the neighborhood because it was a good neighbor. She was just a beautiful neighbor to have. And she was a child care provider, or like she had a daycare, back when, and she would babysit everyone's kids, and they would always come back to see her. Like I remember them coming back as adults, just coming to say hello to her, and she had that house in that neighborhood. And sometimes they still come back, and like if we are there, then we remember one another, and we kind of keep that tether. But neighborhood has changed a bit because people get older and pass away, and things change. So yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. That sounds so tight knit and
Yeah.
close.
So basically, like wherever you see is, expanding into, and yeah.
Yeah, as you see expanding into that neighborhood.
Yeah.
What
I
part
would
of
say
Coreyville? Like, what
it's
street?
changing into that sort of town, like that sort of area. But there is still the recreation center, and everyone is still nice. So I'm not going to cap on them or anything like that about it. But yeah, it still seems to be a nice area. There's like the Coreyville Park, and like again the recreation center, and there's always like summer camps and things for the kids to do, and they things like that.
Nice, very cool. Where did you go to school?
I went to school. Is this an elementary school question?
It is an open-ended question. You can tell me as
Okay.
much or as little as you'd like.
The earliest school I went to was Southern Baptist Christian Academy, and that's over in Avondale, and it's like a historic, African American sacred space for church. There was a church about it, and there was a school about it. So I went to preschool there, and then I transitioned into schooling at Eastwood Paideia, and Schroeder Paideia, and Paideia schools. So
Nice.
yeah, public school.
Yeah, where did you go to high school?
Schroeder, and then I did drop out for a bit, and I spent some time at the charter school Life Skills, which is no longer a place. So yeah.
What year did you graduate?
I was a dropout for a while, and then I went back to school and graduated in 2010. Yeah.
Cool.
Just working and taking care of myself is, since I was younger, so.
Institutionalized school is not for everyone. It just isn't. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that our world makes us feel like it has to be.
Yeah. Because looking back, I mean, I don't know that I would have changed anything, but, like a few of my friends and my cousins were homeschooled, and I would say, like, I'm likely to homeschool if I ever have kids. Yeah.
You said you were kind of like taking care of yourself, doing your own thing. What were you up to at that time?
I would spend time at Elements Hip Hop Youth Center, learning to record there. I learned to record and play music there, and then I started to take lessons and that sort of thing, and just kind of working wherever I could, like Kroger or like whatever, childcare, gigs for friends and things like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was about to ask you too. How did you get started writing? How'd you get started playing music?
I have just always, I mean, like it was a thing in the family, in my family dynamic, with my dad and my uncles. They loved music. They played music in church, and being in church and growing up in church and singing in church. So it just was always a thing that was with me. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a musical family?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess like starting out, I got my bearings at Morning Star Baptist Church, which is like a local small church over in the Walnut Hills area, which is now being gentrified, like that whole area. And I started singing there, and I was baptized there, and some of the pastors, I mean the pastor there, the person who started the church, Calvin Harper, had done some of the demonstrations with MLK in Nashville, Tennessee, and so it was a beautiful thing for me that way. Yeah. And also, Southern Baptist Church is where I went to school, and my mother found it important to have me in that sort of schooling and take me about that route. So yeah, that's pretty much where I got my start. Mm-hmm.
What instrument did you first pick up, or what? Do you remember?
Strings. I would say strings, and just kind of dabbling around with music production that way, like electronically. Mm-hmm.
And how did you find out about Elements?
It was like a guy on the street. I don't know why it was like that, but it was like let's meet up at Elements Hip Hop Youth Center. So like we went down there, and it was like a peaceful time, and then I just kept going there, and yeah, I think it was always that sort of thing. Like people would be like asking about, like people would be interviewing on the street and things like that about it too, and it just sort of came full circle that way. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, did you meet anyone there, or like, can you talk about some experiences there that were formative?
Yes. Well, Abdullah Powell, who ran the program for several years, and Tom Kent, and Islord Allah. There was like he had originally started the program, but that's like he had changed his name to that. And through that program, it was a pretty expansive program, but I started out nannying for this lady who worked at WCPO, Brandy Smith, for a while. Yeah, she was one of the reporters there, and they were all kind of connected that way. Yeah.
Hey, cool. Do you feel like Elements was like a jumping off point, a platform for you?
I would say it was just a beautiful pillar of the community for me. Yes, like I would take my kids down there. Like I would take my niece whenever I was babysitting there, and spend time there. And it was just a nice, wholesome place to be. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was interesting. It was an interesting time. Yeah.
How many years, or how long did you spend kind of going back and forth to Elements?
How long was it? It was like I started out going there when I was 18 or something. Like that's the year that I was introduced to it. And it just has been kind of a thing that I go back to whenever I can still, like certain days, it still has that point of connectivity. Like we're still connected that way. Like DJ April Rain was, an instructor there. People are married that used to be there. Prina Johnson is a person who is like pretty active in the community, and we're connected throughout the years. Like if we are out and about, and yeah.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like we said, you meet people in places, and then you see them forever, and they become just like part of the fabric of where you live. Yeah. Can you kind of walk me how you got started playing in the Cincinnati scene, how your band formed, like just how did you start your musical career here?
So I would say that, after Elements Hip Hop Youth Center, there was, I was nannying for Brandy Smith for a while. And we were all connected sort of at Crossroads Church. I did some singing there for a while. And then from there, there was a point where I just decided that I wanted to take a break from nannying and focus on music. So I did that for a year, I want to say. It was about a year. And I just was out, I would just go out and be at shows, and, people were just so kind and like booking and considering me for things. Like even at the beginning of it, like they didn't know me very well, but I was like being booked for like Northside festivals and things like that. And it was really nice. And we just kind of stayed knit about it, I would say. So just being out and talking to people and playing for years and, having conversations with people at various places and just trying to support, the local bars and the food places and things like that. It just sort of came together that way. Yeah, I met Alessandro that way.
What are some of your favorite spots in town to play?
Honestly, I'm still a big fan of the Comet. Yes. We all know they have the electrical issues, but we all still love them so much, and we love that we share that together. Like this is not cap. We won't cap on the Comet. Like we love the Comet. So yes, the Comet. I still like Motor Pub, the Comet, Urban Artifact, and again, just everybody keeping the thing moving and trying to be as good as we can be and stay connected. So like Woodward Theater is a place that I would say so many people have just looked out for me. Like I can't deny that most days. Yeah.
That's an awesome feeling, like to have a community that lifts you up. Right?
They makes me want to cry. Like they're beautiful.
Oh,
like I'm turned up.
You are welcome to cry.
Yes.
How does your specific band meet? How did you guys form? So you are Freedom Moore and the Electric Moon, is that right?
The Comet for sure. I think I was just like hanging out at his show at the Comet. And Alessandro has that thing that he's running now, that's Cincinnati, where he kind of keeps the loop of everyone on the scene and tries to be inclusive of everyone and keep a note of everything that's happening and just like being out, that sort of thing, and chatting with people. Yeah.
Yeah, neat. How did you get your band name? How'd you guys name yourselves?
Well, the original group, who's like, they're now all having kids and like moving on. They have like different groups and things like that. We're all doing different things. We were all kind of stewing about it initially, and they, had pitched in, and we were like, that's a good name for us. Yeah. So John Raptis and Christopher Sweeney, James Wiley Bennis, and Fred Brackman was the original group. Yeah.
So is it like a rotating cast, kind of like
yes.
New people come in the fold?
Yes, just because life is life, and people have to keep moving and doing what they have to do and go in the directions they want to go, and Yeah, life is life. It picks up fast. It just comes at you, and you're somewhere else, and you didn't know. The Cincinnati area was so busy and big, and
It's kind of deceptive that way. Like I don't think if people outside of here know quite how rich it is. Sometimes people who live here don't even know how rich it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Cincinnati is a very rich thing for us. But yeah, so that initial group and just the expansion of that, but also it's a nice thing. Like if we all want to come back together ever and do a big super group, it still is, iffy, but you might be able to do something like that. Even with the old group, it's not like a drama thing,
I think you need to have a super group reunion.
That bitch.
We've talked to some musicians here who are kind of like that bitch. Like,
yes.
It's so interesting to see like the connections and also the rivalries.
It'd be like that.
It does.
So.
I feel like all artist groups have that because it's an insular community. People are intense. They love their craft. Like I think it breeds.
We're all living together, moving together, doing all kinds of stuff, and just people are just people, and sometimes things get offensive, and people just have their personalities, and but it's important to keep that certain spirit, of like keeping things together and remembering like that some of the stuff is just petty, and it's on me and it's on everyone, and it just is, again, like that sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. Yeah.
We're all going to be like, maybe we won't all be 70-year-olds, but like 40 and 50 and 60. Like, and we look back at the things that we used to do, and like, I don't know. I don't want to be a certain spirit with my kid, like walking around talking about, some old drama. Like if I ever have a kid or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I tell him that all the time, that we're going to run into each other in the grocery store when we're 80. Just like, that you're going to see these people again. Like you're going to live and grow next to them, for as long as they're in the city too. Yeah.
I've met so many people's parents that I'm just like, it just is humbling for me. Like, oh no, I met this person's parent. Like, I'm gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave that behind me. Like, I don't know what it is about somebody's parent, but it's like serious.
It's like they came from a real person.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a really good attitude. And yeah, I feel like I certainly know that from like the drag and burlesque world too, about that drama and just the way that artist communities can
sometimes with people and in groups and ideas and trying to go somewhere, and it just is like that. Yeah. With group dynamics. Yeah.
Definitely. Can you talk about some of your influences as a band at like when you all get together, who you want to sound like, or influences as an individual?
Yes, I would say Earth, Wind, and Fire is an influence of ours, and the Isley Brothers, I would say, but just kind of everything. Yeah, whatever, and there was a time where Dora Jar and I had connected, which she's blown up since then. That was a big inspiring thing, and inspiration of mine. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. What do you like to listen to, or what do you?
Everything. Yeah. And I try to incorporate the locals and listen to the locals and stay connected to whatever's happening. Like, though I'm not out on the social scenes and as much anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard a couple artists say that too, about how they were more in the scene, and as they've gotten older, and people have to do what they have to do, like less out at the bars kind of thing.
But yeah, there's so much good talent in Cincinnati, and good music to vibe to. Yeah.
Can you talk about your like creative process? Like, how do you write songs? How did your band write songs?
Sometimes I will start the process. Like most of the songs are, like I will write and, compose or whatever. And then I will bring that idea to my band, and, they will add things sometimes, and sometimes things just kind of come at us. Like the other day, yesterday when we were playing before the show, they were like dilly-dallying. And Advait Redkar came up with this new part, like on spot. So like that's just, it just keeps happening. And I think you just stay in love with it. Like you stay in love with the music and doing the music, and it just like things come at you, and then you're here together with this group of people, and it's just so enjoyable that, just keeps going,
Yeah, I love the musician magic.
Yes.
Can you also talk too about what you all have like created together? First of all, when did the band form? When did you guys start playing out as Freedom Moore and the Electric Moon?
2017. Yes, 2017.
That's a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then talk me through there. Have you guys recorded different albums? What are some milestones as a band?
I've recorded a few songs, and then that album with Alessandro and Chase, and a lot of people were a part of that album. I mean, like Jess Lamb was singing vocals, and Mal Sullivan was singing vocals on the Green Grass Grows track, and, you know, Ben Pitts was playing horns, you know, there. Phil Cotter played some guitar. I played some guitar. Alessandro played some guitar. So it wasn't even really just like the set band. It was kind of just like the community of musicians who, you know, just love to make music and be a part of whatever's happening. And I'm still there too. You know, I'm still singing vocals with Knots and other groups around Cincy. Mm-hmm.
What was the name of that album?
Green Grass Grows.
Mm-hmm. And what year was that released?
2020, like right at the start of the pandemic. So everything was shut down, but it was like an internet thing, and we were able to connect that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting time. Yeah, that sounds like a really like grassroots, local made album.
Yes.
A little bit of everyone.
Yes.
Cool. And then, okay, so that was released in 2020, and then kind of what happened during the pandemic, post-pandemic?
Again, like, just people kept it alive. I mean, George R. was a person who kept it alive, and Nourished by Time was a person that was just very kind to us, and, you know, they had like a segment on BBC, and that was the thing, and, you know, just hearing their success, and I would say that that's still a thing that's happening with that album.
Cool.
Green Grass Grows, yeah.
What are you guys currently working on? What's in
the? Right now we're kind of taking a break, and, you know, people are kind of living their lives. I'm living my life, and, you know, we don't know, just singles here and there. So try our best to keep making music, but, you know, you just don't know.
Yeah. Do you guys have any goals as a band, or any big dreams?
I'd say, you know, I try not to have the same dreams as everyone else, and filter my dreams and goals, because like most people are like, NPR, you know, is a good thing, and, you know, I would say BBC was nice, because like we just didn't even know where we might have gone. I don't know. I feel like that thread of love these days, that just thread of love, and, you know, being on that consciousness, and just finding your way through that, like whatever sort of comes at you, that is your, you know, that is your thing, your connection with whatever. Yeah. So like we just don't know what it will be. Like it might be this, it might be, you know, anything. Like it might not be like some bigger thing, or, you know, the Grammys or anything like that. It's just that love, you know, that you put there, you know.
That's been really inspiring to hear from different musicians who just say things. You know, Roberto, who was here last month, was just like, I'm just really excited to perform on the stairs. Like he was like, that's my goal.
Yes.
Like it was yeah. So, you know, it lives in the present.
Yes. Yeah. Just being here throughout the years, being here with my niece and my dad, who, you know, have passed away and are no longer with us, and just like having that pillar together with everyone, and knowing that we're all here, we've all been here, and to be there in the stairs that way. Like, just to look back, like, I didn't know when I was working at Kroger that I was going to be making an album, Green Grass Grows, and be here in that way. Or when I was applying online and the computers here, or, you know, using the computer labs here, that I would be somewhere else. So it's like kind of just that thing. So
that's cool. That's a nice perspective. Can you talk about maybe some of your like favorite collaborations, people that you've worked with, or
Roberto and Jay Hill have a track out that I was featured on, Riverside. So that's a cool one, and you know, just collaborating shows with various people throughout the years. I would say it's been that, you know, cool that way. Proxy Jean is a person who I've recently collaborated with. That was pretty interesting to have collaborated with. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. something I may have forgotten to ask about, but Brian Powers might also ask about. We were talking about some of your recordings. Can you talk about who mixed or mastered your The Green Grass Grows? Like, where did you record that?
Alessandro and I recorded that, actually it was like a band practice, and he would record the band practices, and we just fell in love with them. So we just like went back at various times to like add parts to those, like as a band. And it sort of worked out that way. Yeah.
So it wasn't on like a major label or anything. It was just home.
Alessandro, yeah, did most of that mixing and mastering process. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Where did you guys record?
Just like his house. Yeah.
Nice.
Mo Sullivan's house in the basement. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that is really, the essence of local music, I think. It's just like people doing it for themselves.
Yes.
Do you have people you like to work with in Cincinnati, either for recording or, we talked about collaborations too, but are there people you like going back to work with?
Marble Garden Studio was a beautiful process, and I would say that working with Chad Walbrink and Marble Garden Studio was a good time.
Where's Marble Gardens?
It's an OTR. Mm-hmm. It's near Ziegler Park, like the old SCPA building. What street is that? The Ziegler Park. I'm sorry, it just like slips me right now. The street. It was like across the street from Ziegler Park, and it's like stationed there in that like studio building. And they record a lot of local acts. Like
Inhaler used to be.
Oh
Inhaler
yeah,
Radio?
it probably
That's
is.
right.
It might still be in
Sycamore.
Yeah, Isaac Carnes. And I met Isaac at Crossroads Church, funny enough. So Isaac runs that studio, and all different genres are recording there. Like you got like folk, and you got rock, and you got indie, and hip hop, and like a lot of R&B comes out of that, and they have a beautiful sound. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who are some of your favorite up and coming artists in Cincinnati?
I like Bawazi and Derek's So Crazy has got like cool stuff. So many people. Devin Burgess and just the Carriers are based here. We're all kind of based here. It's just cool. It's just nice to to have us all here. And I like to dabble. I like just exploring new things. So like it's nice to have that around, like so many cool bands in Cincinnati. So many cool bands, like all throughout the years. Yeah. So pretty much just everybody, I would say. Yeah. So long as everybody's like cool, it's like, there's a Bia and like all the people and all the people that other people are trying to keep in the loop. Like, I think, people have set that tone. It's a pretty diverse scene, I would say. Yeah.
I always feel funny about this question, but I think it's a good one. Are there things you would do differently as an artist? Are there like hard moments or?
I mean, I would like to be more serious about being an artist, especially at this point, but I like can't right now. Like I'm kind of like focused on like other things right now, just because like life just takes so much to like, it takes so much to like in each day, especially working with kids and things like that, you have to just put your foot forward in that. And I feel like torn in multiple directions. Like this is actually a field that people are taking seriously. And I'm not able to take that seriously at that point. I'm at this point, sorry. At this point, I'm not able to take it seriously. So like I would like to do that. And maybe I'll do that in the next year. Yeah.
I feel that's so hard. Like it's so hard to split yourself between all the things that you want to do, but then you never feel totally able to pour yourself into any one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially all the energy that it takes to create and write and.
Yeah. like socially, I don't know. You know, like the social warfare that just is sometimes, you know, and then like I think about like if I'm gonna have a kid or be around kids, like where I need to be mentally, like to do that, and like where I need to be mentally for something else, and it just like that. That's a thing that's, you know, nerve-wracking. Yeah.
You feel like you have to be in a different mental state to be an artist versus to be like a caregiver?
It does. It just takes a lot of energy, I think, to be an artist and a caregiver and like there, like present. But I mean, I don't want to complain about that either. So
No, just think of, yeah.
Like people just do it. People are doing it. People are doing all kinds of stuff, but just like the technical work that each of us have to do each day to sustain ourselves. Like, I don't know.
Just to maintain life.
Yeah.
Just to get up in the
to
morning.
carry, yeah, to be out in the like it takes me sometimes like 2 days to prepare for something. Like it's like a whole 48 hours. Like mind, body, and soul, it is like sucking, like it sucks out of me. So like sometimes I feel like I shouldn't complain and I want to do multiple things. Like I will work 4 jobs if I need to work 4 jobs and then do whatever else I need to do. But like, I don't know. It's a mess. It is a mess. So yeah. Sometimes when something is taken, like recently, I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and they were like 4 a.m. shifts and 6 a.m. shifts, and I knew about the show, and I was like, I'm gonna work this Dunkin' Donuts job. I'm gonna be a nanny, and I'm just gonna do it, like whatever I need to do. So like, you know. But I ended up getting discharged or like fired from Dunkin' Donuts because I could not do that. And like, I was so mad because like, I could not sleep until the shifts, like so many nights in a row. Like I would not fall asleep until 6 a.m., 4 a.m., you know, like I was losing sleep. So, you know, it does. Like it takes so much. Each of us, we're drinking coffee, you know. Yes.
And you can't like force yourself to change your sleep rhythm and
yes, and then like the sicknesses, like that the body, people are getting sick, like in this much stress and everything else. Like we have to snap ourselves out of that, like, you know, taking meds and everything else as much as we can to like put our feet forward each day to, you know, be those people. Yeah. The best version of ourselves. And yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. And I deeply relate about being all of us are artists. They totally get it. But yeah, I deeply relate about how hard it is to be an artist and a caregiver and anything else for that matter. A full-time employee and an artist, like a person.
In this world, yes. Yes. I was nominated for an award in 2017 when we got to start. And that does kind of still motivate me to go in this direction because I'm like, well, I was nominated for an award. So like maybe I should just keep going and do it. Like get the award. You know, an award for anything is cool. So if I'm nominated for an award in a field, it's like a sign, I guess. But it was in 2017. So like, and also like this world is a world where like the bars are like the bars. And I don't know if the bars are too high or like what the bars are. Because, like, it's just the world we live in. So, like, I don't know how serious it is sometimes to work towards an award or anything like that. Sometimes, but I also do think, you know, just to shit when some of the world, like Dunkin' Donuts, fire me. Like, if I win an award, that's a stupid thing and it's funny, but it's just like, fuck Dunkin' Donuts, man. Not fuck Dunkin'. They're nice. They're so nice. But, like, you know, we have to like naturally not like the corporations. And I don't know. Yeah. Each day.
What award were you nominated for?
Cincinnati Entertainment Award. It wasn't like, you know, it's Cincinnati Entertainment Awards. That was beautiful. Again, they looked out. So that's beautiful.
And we were talking earlier, you were saying that you did some recordings here at the main library.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I did a recording, Love Machine with a person, Quilted Pill, 2 years ago, I want to say. So yeah, we recorded that whole thing there in the maker space. Mm-hmm. And I think Marble Garden had something to do with the mixing, the mastering process there. Mm-hmm.
And when you're songwriting, I mean, when do you have time? Obviously, you're just trying to, you got jobs you got to do. You're just trying to live your life. But when do you find that there's a certain time or when lyrics come to you, or how do you approach songwriting? When do you sit down and try to have a set time to do that, or is it just sort of like a work in progress?
I have to say, I do feel like I'm being pulled in this direction because, like, in the next month, I won't have a long-term nanny job anymore in June, and my kid will be going to school, and my body is pulling me into being awake at 6 a.m. at night, and I'm pacing back and forth around my house, and it's like a very spiritual experience. It's just a very spiritual thing. So like it's there, and it's like it's tied to that gift. So it does feel like I should be doing something else, but also it feels like I should be grounded in like knowing that, you still have to live your life, I don't know, it's that sort of thing. But I would say that the writing process is also a very spiritual experience, yeah. Because sometimes I just don't even know like how I'm doing it. Like I'm doing it, and it's a very natural thing for most people. People are writing all kinds of things, Like this place is full of writing. But yeah, I would say like it just sort of is an impulsive thing, even sometimes.
And some of the songs, like, Morning, to me that's like a hit to me,
Oh, man, bless you.
Well, can you talk about that? Talk about that song a little bit.
Yes. So, actually, I was sitting here on I was going somewhere on the bus, so I was like sitting at a bus stop, and it was like near the library, ironically. Like I was sitting there, and I was just kind of like, I don't know why it was there like that, but it started to come there, and I want to say it was like 2012 that process started. Yeah.
And I was kind of curious about like when your album came out. I guess it looked like it got released exactly the week that the pandemic happened. Everything was shutting down. Yes.
Yeah, we still got together. Like we had to take photos. Yeah, Chase was very nervous about this whole thing. Like he was opposed to like being around to do it. Yeah. But we still got it done. And after that we were just kind of quarantined and away. But it did sort of, it was a strange time. It was strange, yeah.
I was also wondering about your artwork for your album. You've got a couple singles too, but I love like artwork there. Is that something are you doing the artwork? I'm not sure. I don't see the credits of it.
I did start the artwork process, and then I collaborated with another local musician, Michael Andrew Spalding. I think that's still his tag. Yeah, Michael Andrew Spalding redid that artwork. Mm-hmm. He did a few of my others too.
And you put a little song out last year called Troy.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that song? And because that's a little different from the songs that are on your album, I think. It has a little different sound.
Yes. So that one is one that I just kind of dilly-dallied around about on iMovie. So I like slowed that one down. And Alessandro initially, kind of worked that one out with the audio technicality. But I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was like the most authentic tie. Like I didn't feel like it was like the most authentic like spirit in the faster form. So yeah, I slowed it down, and it just, I don't know, it felt like the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. Like it was just so dark and slow and beautiful and, like haunting. And I just wanted it to be that way. Like no matter what else happened, like it's not doing so well. Troy currently is not doing so well. And it's like, a thing that I have to just be very intentional about. But yeah.
So what are your future recording plans? Anything in the works, or you guys just sort of working on new stuff for a while? Or do you know yet?
I'm doing some writing. Since Troy especially, it was a big inspiration for me. Like that whole vibe and time and focus, I would say. So yeah, I'm looking to do some more writing. Yeah. Get some things out before this whole thing is over, for sure. Don't know how much more.
So we like to ask sometimes the musician, like, advice you'd like to offer from your experience, like to other musicians or people who want to create music or be in music.
Do not listen to those people. Don't listen to those other people. Do not listen. Don't be listening. Yes. Like whatever you love, and you know what I'm saying? Because like we are all people who love various things. And we don't have to be all the various things that we love. But if we're something that we love, that's an important thing. And we'll find other people who love that same thing that we love, as opposed to like adjusting ourselves to, somebody else's misguidance. Yes. Because like someone will want to find that raw version of you, or that version of you that is, your own, and not like something that somebody else influenced. Because there are just a lot of pulls back and to and fro about who to be, and it is such a joke to be those things. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yes. So I'm sorry if that was harsh. No. If that wasn't harsh, but don't listen to me either. Listen with your heart. You will understand.